So you got yourself a new design client. Awesome! You have a solid design brief put together. Great! Everything's good to go, you have some solid ideas, but they are not nicely polished, finished pieces of designs just yet, of course. All you got is some loose sketches, some research and keywords written down in a page. Now, how do you present logos, designs, any creative work that hasn't been completed yet? How do you sell what doesn't exist? Well, let me show you how I do it. Now you guys, welcome back to our channel, the #1 place for people who love design, art and all things creative. You are watching Dante and Bollock's channel, my name is Laszlo, and in this video I want to talk about how to present creative ideas to design clients. Before we jump into it though, I want to state we're not talking about presenting finished logo concepts to clients. Presenting finished work is quite easy in my opinion. I mean, you can take the ugliest logo in the world and put it onto a sleek, stylish, sexy presentation, make good use of Photoshop mockups, and that's that. What I'm talking about here is the art of selling logo ideas and how to interact with clients in the earlier stages of your design project. I've been doing commission creative work on and off for about 5 years now, and now I feel like I have reached a comfortable position to talk about my experiences working with clients as a designer. I had some great projects in the past, I had some horrible ones as well, and in hindsight I've realized that there are only 3 key points that if I keep on mind, they help me with my client workflow process. They help me to articulate and sell my ideas. Every time. 3 simple tips to present your work. That's it. Coming right up. Tip number 1. Communication and presenting in person. The most important thing that needs to be established in a client creative relationship is a clear, direct way of communicating with each other. Face-to-face is the best, email to email is the worst way of doing this. I was gonna say, I literally wrote it down in my notes that most of the tricky briefs and difficult clients that came to my way was nothing more than the result of communication problems. But now that I think about it, that's a lie. All of them were. All of the problems that can occur during a creative project can be avoided by using direct, straight to the point ways of communicating with each other. Here's the deal. It's really difficult to verbally explain creative ideas. I mean, that's the whole reason our jobs exist in the first place, right? People hire artists and designers because they want to communicate a message to the world so complex that words fail to describe it. So they need a graphic, an image, sound or video or the combination of these things. But that's the thing, if words fail them, written word will fail them even harder. I truly believe that no one can explain what kind of design work they are expecting from you with a short and snappy email. So as a designer, it's part of your job to take initiative. If you can't meet them face to face, arrange a phone call, or in true 2021 style, do what I do and arrange Zoom meetings with them. I know what you're thinking. You hate phone calls, and you feel very comfortable hiding behind your laptop screen, aren't you? Well, listen, I hate phone calls just as much as the next millennial, but I'm talking to you from experience. A half an hour long Zoom call can save you days, if not weeks worth of emailing back and forth about the smallest, tiniest, silliest little details. You need to spend time getting to know your client and their personal vision for the project if you want to do a good job. And the best way to do that is by listening to them face to face and hear how they describe what they want using their own words. Study their body language, what phrases and words they are using, and what gets them excited and passionate about their project in the first place. Naturally, sometimes it's just not possible to have direct contact with the client. Sometimes you're working with someone overseas, sometimes you're simply working through a middleman and you don't have direct access to the actual client who's taking the work. But still, face-to-face should be your ideal way of presenting work. For one, it suggests a level of professionalism. I mean, a 20-something-year-old who uses their phone as a phone, that's professional. Also, this method gets rid of the people who aren't actually serious about working with you. If you put your creative stuff online, people will find you and message you all the time saying silly things like, "Hey, how much for a logo? Yo, could you design this for me?" That's when you should tell them, "Sure, of course I can I give you a call?" And the unserious people are going to be like, Tip number 2 for working with clients as a designer. Document everything. This sounds like contradictory advice after the previous point, so let me explain. This is how I usually handle my clients. We start with a Zoom call, during which I am making notes, and whenever it is time to present my ideas following our chat, I put a nice clean PDF together, which I always start with a summary of where we left off the last time we spoke in person. And it just goes like that in a circle. Call, PDF. Call, PDF, call, PDF. This is effectively a way of reasoning and backing up every idea, every direction, every sketch you make during the project, as everything has to be referred back to the brief and what your client have asked for in person. For the average logo project, I have 4 PDFs set up for this. First we have the brief. It goes without saying, I hope it goes without saying, that this is the most important PDF of them all. If the brief is not set in stone, your project could run into all sorts of problems, so don't even start the work without this. To put the brief together, we use a simple questionnaire, which I always ask people to fill out following our initial chat about the project. I know some designers don't like to give homework to their clients, but honestly, I think this is the only way the brief will feel personal to them. Once we are ready to roll, I start the idea generation, and once I have stuff that I can talk about, I put together the first presentation PDF, which I call the idea book. I usually email this to the client, I give them a couple of days to sort of, look through it, then we arrange a Zoom call where I present my ideas and we go through the whole thing together. I present, they tell me what they think, and ideally they choose one of the ideas which I came up with, shown in this book. After that, once again, I go away and I work on the chosen route, putting together 2 or 3 different ways to visualize this winning idea. And once that's done, I send this over as well for approval in a PDF that I call the fine-tuning book. Again, I give them some time to think about it, we have a Zoom call, and we agree on a route, which at this point should be very close to the final logo. More often than not, these 3 PDFs are actually enough to wrap up the whole project, but at this point I still give my clients a chance to do some minor modifications, additional changes to one design from the fine-tuning book. And once that is done, I present the actual final work in a PDF which I just call the final book. This should contain the logo in its full, final, finished form. Whew, I know it's a lot, but backing everything up this way and dividing the project into these well-documented, very strict stages, I find is an absolutely amazing way of working. As if or when problems occur during the project, you can always pinpoint the time it happened. You can always refer back to a stage or 2 and fix it. Like if the client is unhappy with some of the fine-tuning, you can go back and take another idea from the idea book, and so on and so on. That kind of thing. And finally, tip number 3. Storytelling, touching on the past, the present and the future of your design idea. To explain what I mean by this point, I need to give you a bit of context. This is a logo I have designed quite recently for someone who asked me to brand their business. The brand is called Prismatic Postiche, and the idea behind it is basically to create handmade, high quality but crazy colorful fake beards and hairpieces, which celebrate color, queerness, fantasy and the performing arts. Now that you have seen the final product, I want to show you the page from my idea book, which helped me to sell this idea to the client. First I talked about the past, the inspiration behind this idea, which are basically these amazing playing card designs made by Iranian illustrator Madje Faradkiai, whose work left such an impression on me, I felt like I just had to act on it. You see playing card designs online all the time, but I felt like this illustrator has managed to push the concept further than anyone I've ever seen before, which is exactly what I wanted to do with my work within this design project as well. By this point, the client and me, we already had deep and long conversations about the theatrical connotations of this project, drag queens, drag kings, performers, cosplayers, generally speaking turning gender stereotypes upside down and inside out. So I knew she will love this idea if I managed to articulate it well. So after telling her all about the inspiration, I moved on to the present stage of the idea, for which I have shown some quick sketches as to how I think this concept could work as a simple graphic. Now if you happen to have amazing hand drawing skills, you don't need to put a digital version together just yet. I did this quick one in Illustrator anyway, just because my hand drawings are a little bit messy. And when it came to presenting this idea on my Zoom call with her, we discussed the future possibilities within this idea. How, since it's visually quite open, we can mess about with different characters, play with different formats, and in the future we could potentially expand this concept into a much bigger scale, designing a full-on icon set or an actual deck of playing cards maybe, who knows? And these are the kind of conversations which will help you sell your idea to your clients. Talking about future possibilities proves that your idea got legs, you know. A logo or any piece of design work, in my opinion, should always kind of feel like it's the start of something. It's the foundation of what's to come. So as long as it feels like it's full of possibilities, it will get your client excited, which is what this job is all about at the end of the day. As I was saying, 3 things: presenting face to face to make the project feel personal, documenting everything as you go, and showing the whole timeline of the idea from the inception and inspiration to its future possibilities. I truly believe that that's all there is to it. That's all that you need to do for a successful design presentation. Well, it seems to be working for me, so I don't see why it wouldn't work for you. Yeah? Guys, I really hope this video offered you some help within your design practice. While you are here, please consider joining our little design tribe so you don't miss out on the upcoming content. We aim to give you 2 videos every week about art, design, illustration, graphics, architecture, interior design, all those cool things and everything in between. Leave a like if you enjoyed this one, and I hope to see you this time next week. Bye guys!